Hello, it is Saturday, the 13th day of July 2019. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel, where, like always, all bets, trades of the like, within each his own risk and their own reward. Let's start off within Bitcoin against the US dollar, which found no resistance at the 9,800 level when it came up to it on June the 21st, and immediately proceeded to move and pierce above, a heavy pierce above resistance of 12,930. Coming back down to the level of Fibonacci, which was now hit once so far, and maybe the only time, but it has got status of once hit level of support at 9,800. And then it has a second hit of resistance, barely piercing above this time. Technically a lower high, and that would have come in just a little above that 12,930. Obviously, this low and all these three segments of lows right now we have are higher than these three segment of lows, which were higher than this. So the higher lows still remains. Thus, the 18 average of lows is still technically rising. That is not the case with the 18 average of highs. For if we look at the 18 average of highs, the numbers are on the left-hand side. 12,027 was the high on the 9th. Then it rose to 12,154 on the next day. And then the next day it remained at 12,154, thus flattening on the highs. Yesterday's session had a nice green candle up, didn't get to the highs, and in such, the reduction down to 12,133, and so far 12,096. So the 18 average of highs has started to decline, and the 18 average of lows yesterday was in at 11,036, now at 11,066. That's an increase of 30. Back in here, what was it going up by? Well, 10.55 and 10.62. So it was going up like 70, 80 points. So it's going up at a much lower rate. And that's because the last 3 days have been spent near the lows. So the momentum to me is lost. And that's like the new status or the attempt. For any rallies that bring it up to 12,000 area, 12, and that's got a long ways to go at 11.4. But that would take it back to, well, 18 average would start to, well, the number would go higher. Because right now it's reading the high of 11,845. So if it goes up to 12, well, that number would bring this one start to go up again. But it all comes down to getting above this 12,930 to resume this uptrend. I'm now going to use that word resume because the band is in the flattening out stages now, thus momentum to the uptrend. And if there's going to be any reversals, I have now just started to see the first stage down. The second stage would be establishing a level of support, which technically has already been established for where I would expect it to be. It would be in at this 9,800. Of course, it can pierce a little bit below as well. And that would be stage two if it's going to do it. It's got the short-term support and everything it's got to go through. So in looking at the short term, let's take a look at the code with the Binance. I got this because I got a lot more Fibonacci lines, and there really isn't any Fibonacci lines on the way through. There, you can find other ones. I mean, I could connect this low to this high, and there would be Fibonacci lines in here. So there's so many different ways of calculating, and there's so many different variables, and these are really microscopic Fibonacci calculations that hardly anybody would even know how to calculate. Even people that are really good and understand Fibonacci well. In fact, if I were to teach people who understand Fibonacci, whom don't know this, they would get it. Wow, that's cool. Yeah, that's amazing. That's what a lot of them I think would think. But there's not too many people even like that I think around. All right, so let's take a look at this on the shorter term 8-hour chart. It's not even resisting this area. Rather, its last little bit has just been staying up around this 11.6 range, relatively tight and low volatile from over the last 6 or so periods since this last red one, holding on a lot within this level of support. We look at this even more clearly amongst the single hour time frame. There was a decline from the high to the low. There's your attempt to revert the trend. Yeah, resuming is when it barely goes down, basically, and it is unable to change it to the down. But it did do such with this leg lower. So bear market, there's the flattening out in here. And there's also flattening out here, but it didn't, this leg lower to change that. And we have resistance established in here. Comes back to the band, then it breaks it. And obviously that of a failed breakdown. Wasn't too fast, but fast move to this level. Minimum could be more, but it really wasn't that much of a failed breakout overall. The 18 average most certainly didn't hold by any means for good support in here. It then showed resistance before this decent red candle. So there was a lot of signals saying, hey, it could happen. And then when it was down at like 11,397 back in here, I'm just going to stick a short-term line right around it. You would think right around here, convincing level to this point. I mean, if you're short here, uh, that could be lows, but we're just looking for knowing that if it breaks down below here, it's probably going to go here. And where's an opportunity where you can get your best risk reward if you wanted to play this level. I'm putting the line in because as I go 15, 4, and 1 minute time frames, which I haven't looked at yet, I want to see how that general area looks. So then, as far as where we stand as today in this hour's current period, it is 9:46 a.m. Eastern Time as I'm doing this right now, and it is correcting this last leg lower. So starting its correction at the 18 lows. 15-minute term time frame. This is obviously that key support that it broke. Can't see any support or anything in here. Or don't know how fast this thing would have fallen at 6 o'clock in the morning. So let's go ahead to the 4. And I mean, it was relatively, this thing just went fast. It started at this 11.5 and it just didn't stop. And how fast did it take when we look at this on the 1? So it started at 6:05. And I mean, I just drew this line in wherever. And on that wherever spot, it consolidated for 3 or 4 minutes and then just had a little bit of grinding its way for further gains. The meat of the losses came at 6:05 and 6:06. And the first one, it lost 0.25%. The next one, it lost 0.88. Yeah, that's 1 minute time frame. So it lost a little bit more than a 1% move. Okay. And of course, from that point on afterwards, we find just a little bit of higher lows, like that little small correctionary phase I mentioned within this hour coming to this, and viewing it on the single minute. On the way down, it originally established a major level of resistance at 11.3, resisted it again here. So is this? I just got to move this line back in here. It's a temporary line anyway. And technically the resistance was right here. So we have the resistance in here, yeah, piercing below, but pretty much it. And then the exact hit, coming back down to the 18. A little bit of a failed rally, coming back. This one here, another hit, coming back, breaking it out. Now congesting in that area. So hit, big pullback. Hit, small pullback meeting to the 18. Getting up in here at 8.13, congestion. Supporting that area. Those things. Establishing resistance level. First establishing it here at 11.355 at 8.16. And then about 6 minutes later at 8.22, establishing it a little further at 11.375. Matching that 11.375 at 8.37 with a very good pullback, filling empty space. Empty space from this low to this high, all of the stuff in here, it filled it down to 11.288. Another way of saying it had a retracement. It looks like somewhere about a 40+% or appears below 38.2, just looking at it with my blind eye. Although I'm not blind, but you know what I mean. So then it gets to that situation that I don't like, which is, I got to give it a name, whatever it is. It's where you have a key level like this, you have a good price pullback, and you get back to it. And usually when you get back to it, this is definitely not only no exception, but to the whole point of why I say it. Okay, you get to it. What are you going to do? We're going to resist it. Is it going to be a big level of resistance where we go back, who knows, even 8,000 kind of deal or whatever, lower, but whatever. But even smaller levels like 11.2 and 10,000, is this going to be resistance? Is this going to be like microscopic resistance? Maybe come back down to like 11.3, find a higher low to here, or do we just have a nice breakout? Well, the answer was we have a nice breakout. And we have since came back to that level. But in doing so, in the 1 minute time frame, we've now had significant decline, and we're having a resistance test on the hourly, as we can see in here. We'll see how it holds up. Next stage of this test is getting to the 18 highs and all that stuff. But meanwhile, on the single minute, its down move is having a resistance test as well. So in the situation, and this is where the 1 minute and 1 hour can really give us a lot of, okay, this is what helps the 1 hour knowing this one. Because if we see the failure here and the weakness in the break below, then and that would mean we'd start to see prices at 11,350. Well, that means we would be seeing price action in here. Not much of a difference, but we're starting to see it fall from this. Green candle would be getting smaller, and that's showing signs that this is just going to be like resistance. That's it. And it's going to obviously go lower. That's one of the signs. I mean, we got a lot more to go. This is really not even help. I mean, you need even more work after that. But as we can see, it's falling from here, so it looks like it's going to be the case. Now, if this all succeeds, it manages to find a way to get above it because it didn't attempt to break out above here. Now it's going to have to do it at least if it doesn't go down, it's going to have to attempt to do it at the same area. And in such, well, you know what? That's not really going to help the hourly too much at all. No, it might help 15 and 4. I was thinking just looking at it, maybe it would. No, that all this type of stuff is so short-term nonsense. And now let's carry on and move on to some altcoins, as they are still well low in price against Bitcoin, and not much volatility here. Litecoin just a couple days, really not really doing much at all. Is there any signs that it might get ready to get going? Well, if we look at the hour, there's a big decline in here. And multiple tests of support, each one a little bit higher. As we had test number 1 at 11 o'clock on this hourly on July the 10th, or 3 days ago. And then 2 days ago, or at the end of that day, it had support at 8442. Then 2 days ago at 11 o'clock in the morning, or about 47 hours or so ago, this number here. And then it finally attempted to break, revert, big time, revert the trend at 1600 hours. Now the question is, do you count this as established resistance? At first, I would have to say no. After this decline, I would have to say maybe. And so it's the attempt to do it. So now the failure in trying to correct it, but technically it kind of did magnificent job. And I mean, how can you just go sideways like this and really have this tight range? Well, it did it. And amongst the tight range, we can see that this level of resistance kind of congested there for the previous 3 or so hours up until this one. And this one is yet another attempt to revert the trend. Simple as that. And it's came back up close to this area high. It's in that area. It's not quite the high. So as of now, it's appears below. And that's the key word. It is only 6 minutes left in the hour, but we have extension to the next one that could break it. But just as this area here was able to find support in this general area, not most certainly is huge important if this is where resistance is going to be, to find some support at around the 894 level, and then go from there. As far as this on the 15-minute term time frame, we can just see how big this level of resistance band is in here. As we can see, it's just supporting it. So that's why now on any type of move, I would like to see this here. I can already see liftoff support at this line right here. And to me, what liftoff support means is an area where you break an area like this, you come back and I just as a new plan, and then you're just gonna start a great move from that point. So you go back to those areas I say you want to come back from. So when this is short term, it'll be probably easier for me to explain on what's probably now gonna have to be the 1 minute time frame. I was gonna say the 4 or the 1, but it's not the 4. You can see it here in this period on this stage. As you can see this line hitting this resistance, correctionary phase, attempting to break this thing down but unable to do so, although it fought the bears it is for quite some time. The attempt was done at 8:56 a.m. At least on this particular time frame, as we see it on the 18 in here, just from this correctionary move back down. We did not come back down here, which really isn't all that needed after I think a lift-off support comes into play. And in fact, I don't even like it when it happens on a bullish level. But either way, market does what it does. We can see that it came down in around the 18 average of closes area, and just a couple periods hanging in there right now. Still hasn't had a clear breakout above the 18 average of highs. And in looking at this to explain that on the 1 minute time frame, this is exactly what it should show. Because you have this big level of resistance, and you have a very small short-term move up to here, and then you have, oh, so what are the things you're looking for? Oh, I want to buy if it comes back. And well, there's that comeback right there. And then when it leaves it like that, lift off. Here's that level of resistance, that spot I don't like. And that, okay, where am I trying to predict it? Because I realize a lot of wild things can happen here. And here's that wild great breakout. And of course, now supporting in here, this level of resistance. It has been supporting this short term for quite some time now. Thus, the momentum for how strong it is becomes like I'm gonna say I don't want to predict it because it's like trying to predict if a dice is going to be odd or even, red card or black card on the deck of cards, coin flip kind of stuff. How am I supposed to predict now how it's going to break outside of this level? I guess if anything, I can't say that too much because yeah, I've clearly drawn these lines in. And in this little area here, I do like how it had this move breaking out and holding relatively well. So if I also realized that these sideways moves, usually the benefit of the doubt goes to the trend that it came from, and point low, point high. So that's to the buyers. So no, I would be if I were to say okay, even odd bet. What are we going to see? And you use the exact same percentage of what the move is, either here to here or here to here kind of deal, whatever. I'm looking, I'd probably want to bet it to the upside, realizing it's like getting, like say roulette, it's almost like getting, we'll give you either odds and evens and we'll give you the greens. Okay, so I have a small edge. And you know what? If I wanted to get fancy, I could try to use advanced analytics to try to predict mathematically what the chances are in a situation of this, of what you would hit next. Because if you were to know there's a 60-70% chance of one side or the other, then that just makes what trade you do from here really very, very easy. Okay, let's just take a quick look at a few others and try to finish this off in a little over 20. And we'll start off with Go on the 1 minute time frame. This is what I've been selling a lot this morning of. I sold this against many different crosses. I don't know about all of them. I have like 4 of them that I traded against. Against Litecoin, against Theta, and Qtum. And what do we see here on the 1 hour time frame? Well, it went from like 110 to 125. That's a little over 15% or 10%, 12, 13, whatever. 3 hour time frame. Well, it's an attempt to break out. This thing has the potential to go next level resistance is 142, and do I ever hope it goes there because I want to turn these Go coins, which I got a lot more of, or Go chains. I have a lot more of these with what's been going on amongst this decline. It's been generally losing more than other coins, so it's been accumulating more. At any time, I know these things are capable of having shit like this happening. And when it does, it does. Is it a shit coin? It might be. And I also realize that a lot of them that have had interestingly nice moves in the past. In fact, a lot of them will have more higher volatile moves, where you might find out in a day, week, or a 15-day or whatever period that this thing is going up so hog wild. Oh my goodness, next week it might be up to like 850 or even 650, and in another case it could be at 1183. And it's like, oh my goodness, this went up there. It's like a 6x gain when the other market doubled, or even went up 20%. Or this goes up 10 times when other markets are going up 3 times and 4 times. And thus, it's accumulating a large amount of coins. And even on a daily spot, we could have a spot where this thing just jumps up fast to like 40, but even not even 402, but that would be something. But like 250 doubles in one day, and that I could call like a unique move. Because notice when I said during a situation like this that yeah, if this goes up like 10x, maybe other coins go 2, 3x. I'm referring to a dartboard rally where all the markets go up well. But then a unique move is when everything does its thing, goes up, goes down, stays sideways. And when I say going up, goes up like 7% or 5% or some whatever lower number, nothing significant. And if this has a significant move, then it's literally, oh, 250, it was 125. Okay, let's sell about half. If everything else is doing like nothing, I'm going to sell about half. 40%. It's just that aggressive on how I do it. And then if it goes up to like here, well, then I'll do the same thing again. Because I'll have whatever remaining I have, that remaining sum equals 100% of what's left, obviously. And half of that is less than what it was before, but I'll still have power to buy other coins. And of course, if I sell half, if it goes to 250 and it starts pulling back, well, I'll get the buybacks and do everything I'm supposed to do from that point moving forward. So we'll see in here 1 hour time frame if this thing is ready to get going. Looking at my ratios, my top gainer, and I mean gainers and losers are all the same on this. LITECOIN and XLM. Interesting move. I don't understand this at all. Yeah, what's up with this move? And when you look at the Stellar Lumen and the LITECOIN cross, there's none of this type of move like this. But as it goes, that's how it looks. And up move, down move. Not the greatest of volatility on intraday level, but you really it's not supposed to be with these two. But all of them are going to have good moves. Even the low ass shitty ones like Ethereum. When I say shitty, I mean not as much volatility, like the Ethereum and the Moneros. And these could be a lot better coins because at least a lot of them, maybe a lot of them will go up, and other ones that have high volatility go down big. So that you can look at it on you have to look at so many different levels. But as far as say, I mean, 2%'s nothing. Losers, oh, looks like everything's down. Well, it means that the coins on the right hand side on the losers are doing well. So go theta, 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 T fuel, theta. Oh, theta's doing pretty well, and go again. Theta, theta, go, theta. This tells me go and theta's doing good. So Qtum and go, I said I made a trade. But I'm just starting to get some of those. I mean, all of this happened. As I mentioned to you, it was buy, go chain. And I sold a lot of Qtum on this move up. And I even bought a bit back here, sold again up here, and now it's just buying back what I sold up there. And other one, Qtum theta. Again, what I sold up there, I'm buying back again. If it goes down to this, down in here, I'll sell more. Well, this is theta, yeah. So I sold Qtum, not as aggressively, of course, against GoChain. Now, where's my trade on here? Let me just take a look at my last action on that. And I'm looking to buy. I got Qtum theta. It says 31.48 is the current price that I last checked manually. Of course, it does the math for me, but I manually put entering prices. That is 4.25% difference. So basically, the high, this number minus this divided by this is 0.0425 rounded. And taking a look at so 32.82 last trade would have meant somewhere. Let me just look at this again. Yeah, 32 to. I mean, just recently in here, like just right down in here. So I need this to go like down to here. I think I do have an alert on here for me. I might not. If not, I should add one. Qtum theta crossing the 60. So And this is just an annoying feature. If I do it here, I'll see it. Yeah. So going down here, I have an alert ready to go. Ethereum Classic and Theta. A lot of them are either 1 minute. A lot of them were on the 4-minute time frame. I should have an alert. Yeah, right in there. So that'll tell me that it's time to make a trade, and so on and so forth. Anything else to look at? Waves and Theta. Well, is there anything to do with this choppy action? First thing, well, 1334, 1362. If you're going to play this type of short-term moves, I don't think ratio trading is the greatest of things. I think just normal trading with either Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Coin, Dollar, Tether, whatever is on the normal exchange. Single hour term, just take advantage of. I mean, these moves are fast. So in this case here, if you were able to get it at 5 o'clock, I wasn't. You got the move. If not, you didn't. But I look at it as in these are like a bonus move. Like if you're playing a video game, sometimes you have bonus levels or you qualify for them, and sometimes you do well and sometimes you don't. Now, if you were up at this time or you have orders set ready to go and process for such, then you got your bonus level, you got your bonus points. And bonus points in this game, cryptocurrency, or points generally, is your Bitcoin number, what they're worth in Bitcoin, what they're worth in Litecoin, what they're worth in dollars, and whatever. There's so many different ways of points. They influx so much. It's an advanced game. But what makes this advanced game with so many more features better than any Sega or Super Nintendo, and I'm using old school, so I'll go Xbox and PlayStation. I have to think about those ones for a second. They give you points and scores in games, but you really can't do much with them. And this, you can buy precious metals. You can. There's not a lot of merch. It's the Miami Dolphins. You can go buy tickets from the sounds of it for the Miami Dolphins at the stadium that's no longer Joe Robbie. I don't know what it's called now. Sun Life, I think. I don't know. I mean, I'm an old school guy. I remember the Joe Robbie Stadium used to be the Miami old school one. But whatever. The stadium there accepting it for tickets, I guess merchandise there, concessions. They're accepting Bitcoin and Litecoin. And Litecoin, that's their official currency. We're in the early adoption phases. When you go outside and you go in the streets, and I know every area is different than Southern Ontario, but I've done the 401, what they call, I'll call the 401 line. I know that very well, which is the main highway for Southern Ontario that transfers, that would get you from Montreal to Toronto, basically. At least it would get you from to Quebec to Detroit area. And on that area, when I go to different cities, Toronto, Whitby, Belleville, Peterborough, I don't see anything. I don't see signs about Bitcoin, Litecoin, or cryptos anywhere. And I don't talk to too many people. And when I wear my Litecoin shirt, and I don't wear it in public too often. I'm not in public too often as it is anyway, but I am, but not like what I could be, I guess, is another way of saying it. You don't see too much of it. Well, in a year, 2 years from now, take a look. Things are changing. And they're changing, as I see it, for the better. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.